Well, welcome to, let's see, I think we're up to week 5 now of this story building. And Abby and I were just talking about some possibilities where the plot might go. And we think that we've got some good options here. And so last time we left off, the Vikings were on their way to toward the migratory Indian village, and we had said that the friend, we'll call them like the friendly Indians, who were the local Indians, I guess, the local Indians, and then you got the migratory Indians. The local Indians, we had said that their chief's wife kind of found a kindred spirit in Matok. Can you open up because I have a hard time keeping all their names straight. Can you open up the notes, because I know I've got all the characters' names at the top. And so what we talked about was on their way, like they go inland there, so they're going away from their boat, which is kind of what a sense of security for the Vikings. So they're going away from their boat inland. I do know that at least in certain regions of Appalachia, and I would assume up in Maine as well, there were certain nut trees, like groves of them, that migratory Indians would stop and actually migrate just to be able to enjoy the harvest. The ones that I'm thinking about down here were chestnuts. Don't know, maybe there were maybe not pecans, maybe walnuts up there or something like that. But so that, it's not, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's historically accurate. Or not historically accurate, but historically feasible. So you've got Abby had said that she thought the migratory Indians should already be at camp, whereas last time we left it, well, they hadn't gotten there yet. And so I'm willing to explore those guys already being at camp and kind of like waiting in ambush or something, so that like they're walking toward, they've got a couple miles, I would say it would have to be at least 10, 15 miles away, don't you think? Because I mean, 10, 15 miles, I mean, it's not too far to be able to walk or run, especially for Indians. So they're going inland. They're going over some very rough terrain. They're taking trails. They're going over, when I say rough terrain, I think of the Maine, like rocky. Rocky, mossy. It's growing cold. It hasn't gotten cold yet, but it's growing that way.
And all the Indians are barefoot and their skin.
Yeah, you need to talk up so they can
hear. Oh, sorry. And all the Indians were barefoot, and
yeah,
you could do a difference between the Indians and the Vikings.
So, but the Indians wouldn't have moccasins or something like that. We would have to come up with some sort of differences. Probably both wore moccasins, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Then the guys that the Vikings would be more hardened to the cold, I believe, where they actually come from a further northern latitude. The Vikings were very, very hardy, and actually the Vikings were more, contrary to popular, like everything I've read, contrary to popular belief or opinion, they liked to farm. Yes, they did go out and they did raid, and they did trade and deal in slaves, and they were very vicious in many ways. But from what I've read, they really wanted and liked to be able to farm. So they're going inland. They've got a mission, and then Matok, because he's going inland, they're going by these huge trees. Now these are virgin forests, so there are these immense trees. We're talking oaks that are feet in diameter, and going up rocky ledges and cliffs still, though, with huge trees, even in certain areas, just being able to grow out of the cliffs where they can see the roots that are like veins actually going around the rocks and digging into and holding itself, clinging to the sides of the cliff. So kind of like a picture of life and sheer willpower, albeit natural willpower, against this very rough terrain, and they go inland. And as they're going, Maytok hears his sister, and it's off to the side. She's like probably 20 yards off into the woods as they're going along this trail, which, by the way, you can see a long ways underneath this canopy of woods, because the wildlife will have eaten the vegetation on the lower realms, and also where it's not where it's a virgin forest. It's going to be really huge trees, and all the smaller stuff, not all of it, but most of the smaller stuff will have died out. So you've got like this canopy where it's kind of dark, but then light in spots, but darker because the canopy's thick.
The Indians would burn the bottom too, so it'd be easier to travel.
Yeah, that is true, and also to see game. Like Indians, and again, I'm going off of the Indians, at least in our area, were known to periodically, every couple of years, burn. It wouldn't kill the forest, but it would burn all the underbrush so that they could actually see game easier, and make their way through the forest easier. So so I would assume that maybe they had something like that. I mean, I know the Aborigines did that, so I would assume maybe they did something like that up north. So now they're traveling through the woods. They are, and Maytok hears his sister, and he kind of glimpses her. He stops, and she's kind of walking with him, and she walks behind another tree. What's that?
He sees her?
Yeah, I think he needs to actually see her, but she's like, the way I have it in my mind is, I don't know, I see her kind of ghost-like and in white clothing. Maybe it needs to be more practical, like the last thing he saw her wearing, which was at the beach. Nah, that wouldn't make sense. Let's, we need a picture of her. I mean, I think she needs her. She's a lively spirit, so I think she needs to be in. Well, she's in a different time period. Maybe she's in leathers. Maybe she's in skins when he sees her, and so she's like dressed as a either as a Viking. Let's say she's dressed as a Viking. So she's in skins, and she's got that same red curly hair, fire red. And she's in like I guess the traditional garb of a Viking is what, like a female, maybe some sort of dress, robe type thing that's leathery, and that's what I picture her in, kind of like a leathery, maybe with some fur, some fox somewhere. And she's off, like I say, about 20 yards, and she says, "I'm not here." And Maytok turns because he hears, "I'm not here." He recognizes his sister's voice, and he sees her, and she's walking along with the men, and he stops, but she keeps on going, and she kind of walks behind a huge tree, and then he kind of sees her appear on the other side. So he like keeps on walking just to keep up with her. And he says, "What do you mean?" And she says, "I'm not here." And what's his friend's name? Go back to the characters real quick. His friend, who is Tryfing. Okay, let me see. Halfdan is the taskman. Tryfing's his friend. Theron is the nephew of the chieftain. Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about Theron last time. That we gave him a name. And we also gave a name to the person they're trying to rescue, is Arnora. That's the daughter of Leif Erikson, who they're trying to rescue. So let's see if we can remember those. And so Tryfing says, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, I can hear he's trying to explain. I see her right over there. And so there's this funny, humorous exchange about how he's yet again talking to himself and acting crazy, and maybe he's dehydrated or something. But his sister again says, she says something like, "No, silly, she's not here." And Maytok says, "What do you mean she's not here?" And then at that point, Halfdan turns around. I think that's his name, the taskman, and he hears him say, "She's not here," and he accuses him of I don't know. Does he accuse him of being crazy? Is like, what are you talking about? I mean, I think Halfton needs to acknowledge somehow that something's that Matic has almost like, and I think he has in a way acknowledged that Matic has some sort of almost like prophetic powers here.
Mhm.
Something he doesn't understand. Yes, his mother is some sort of spiritist. His sister's crazy, or at least they think she's crazy, running through the Matic's sister, not Matthew or Michael's sister, but Matic's sister's half crazy. Running around talking to spirits and to the forest animals, and so Halfton is curious and but yet angry and saying, "What do you mean she's not here? How do you know?" And almost accusationally, and Matic says, "Well, I don't know, but that's what might." He looks over and his sister's gone. And he just says, "My sister told me." And he says, "Well, what do you mean? Your sister told you?" And he said, "Well, it's hard because Matic's sitting there thinking his sister, meaning his Viking sister, is still up in Labrador, and the crazy one. And he is he's saying, no, my sister. No, you wouldn't understand." So I mean, there's got to be this sort of humorous exchange. In the sense that there's a big confusion about who he's talking about. The bottom line is the communication comes across that he doesn't believe that she's there. Okay, and then Abby, you brought up that you thought maybe the migratory tribe was aware that they were coming. Okay, and that's plausible. So in other words, they could have had scouts.
They saw the Viking ship coming up the river and followed it.
Okay. And if the Vikings had left maybe a week or so after the daughter, maybe they had gone and they had tried to go after the migratory tribe after they had discovered that the daughter was, I guess their names are Nora, was kidnapped. Maybe they came back unsuccessful, and then that's when Leif Erikson said, "Okay, get in the boat, go down south, head them off. We know approximately where they spend their winters down there. Go head them off and bring her back." And so that's a possibility because they could have been traveling. I mean, they can travel great distances pretty quickly. They could have gotten down there before the boat did. So having said that, they saw the Viking ship. And so then what happens when they're getting close to they're getting closer, going through these, I would say that they would, the Indians, I mean, would they be, let's think, would they have their village toward the top of a hill? Probably not, because of the weather. It wouldn't necessarily be at the bottom.
They might have it near where the chestnuts and stuff are, so that they could have it, because where they migrate, they don't really have time to store up that much before winter time. And I would say that they are probably hiding in ambush, because I think that's what the Indians did. At least that's what they did during.
So then I think that Matic, if the other Indians are hiding in ambush, I think that Matic needs to somehow warn them, like he did a good job warning them about, or giving them a safe harbor to weather this storm. I think Matic needs to be like his sister one more time. Maybe he looks and he doesn't see her, but his sister says, "Watch out," or warns them somehow. And Matic tells Halfton about it, that he warns that, hey, they're waiting in ambush for us. And Halfton thinks about it and decides to at least consider or be more careful. And it ends up that they are, like, let's say they come over a crest of a hill, or they're heading up a hill, and I know they're going to send a scout up ahead of them. Okay,
Okay.
So they're going to send a couple of the like
He
one.
sends the Leif Erikson's son.
I don't think that yet.
Right.
No, because you would want to send someone very dependable. So
Maybe
I
the
think
scout.
they send it like one of the other Indians and one of the Vikings go together ahead, and they hear some screams, and then some Indian calls, and so this is up a hill, like up a steep hill, and it's not rocky, but it is it's lush, it's muddy soil. They're running up this hill, trying to get to where the scouts were, all the time being wary of the fact that, okay, they're running into who knows what, how many of the other migratory tribe are, and that's something we need to address, is how many of them are there. Like, they should have asked that question a while back. So let's assume that they're going to be vastly outnumbered. Let's say the migratory tribe is hundreds.
Where did the Iroquois live?
I don't know.
Because they had a alliance with I think 2 other Indian groups, and they called it the Triple Alliance, and they were allied in trade and war. And
So how would that play in?
I don't know. There's lots of them they could ally against the.
So the local Indians or the migratory Indians would be allied with.
No,
they wouldn't be allied together, but I'm saying
I'm sorry, but not the migratory ones, the friendly ones.
So the friendly ones would have had so you're saying, like, on this day that they're going up to the migratory Indian camp, that they would have other Indians with them?
No, but maybe they lost against the migratory Indians and they realized that they needed help, and so they have to go find some other Indians.
Like at this point in the story?
No, after they lose.
Okay, so they're going to lose this battle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so so who should die? We know that I would say I don't think it's time for the Leif Erikson's.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Did we say it was a son? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not time for Leif Erikson's son to die yet. I think Natick needs to prove himself somehow very worthy, and actually, because we could use this to develop Natick even further. So you've got Halfdan, who is leading the charge up the hill, trying to assess the situation, but at the same time being cautious not to lead them into a bad situation. It's one thing to lose a scout, but it's another thing to lose a whole bunch of men trying to rescue him. So he's going up, and they're trying, but there's lots and lots of noise and cries. He's not used to that much, like, hooting and hollering, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like hundreds. And so they're going up, and as they go up and up this hill, at some point in time, the woods next to them essentially erupt. Mm-hmm. And from both sides, Indians start pouring in.
Or maybe since they knew that the scout died, they or because they heard the commotion, they decide to surround the hill.
Not enough Vikings to surround the hill.
No, but maybe they could spread out a little bit so that they're not clumped together in Indians.
Yeah, the only problem with spreading out a little bit is then you're not able to protect each other. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things about being together. You can actually protect each other to a greater degree. In this type of battle, I would say that they would stay relatively close to each other, going up the hill, and then they get ambushed before they get to the top, before they get to the place where all the hooting and hollering is going on. They get ambushed. Now, so let's describe that scene. Like, Natick is he's had his sword drawn. He's gripping his shield. His shield is heavy, but yet it's not all that large. It's made out of wood with a little bit of copper around the outside edge. It's painted.
And a spike in the middle.
Spike in the middle. Okay. And it's painted bright red and blue. And he's carrying it by means of a leather strap. But the sword is actually a good sword. We already described it a little bit, that the handle's got the leather, the shark leather handle, so it grips well. The sword is heavy, but yet he feels, even though like he's finding these new sensations because he's used to being young. Now he's in a body which is older, stronger, leaner, and meaner. And so he's as he gets charged, he instinctively uses his shield to deflect an attacker, and it knocks the man against a tree. And he realizes that in his with the adrenaline that's going through his body, he realizes yet again what strength this body contains. And so he looks around and he's thinking, well, what does he do with this? He doesn't want to kill. But yet, and he's going, well, maybe I'm still dreaming this thing, and if I don't, like, how can it be wrong to kill, like, if I'm in a dream? But yet
he doesn't know.
He's conflicted. Yes, and he believes, okay, it's wrong to kill, but yet at that point, as he's kind of pausing over what to do, he hears a cry of one of his fellow Vikings next to him, and he turns and he sees the man's like lower half of his arm is gone and it's gushing blood, and he's holding it. And so as he turns back, the man that he had knocked against the tree it was kind of like a paddle that the man had, almost like a club / paddle, and he comes at him and he wields it, and Matic deflects the blow and delivers and actually slices through him. Okay, we can go in, like in the book, we can go into detail how he kills him, but he very quickly and efficiently runs him through to the point where like his sword is stuck in the tree, and he yanks it out, and he just starts doing what he feels is natural. He's like, you know what, if I'm going to die in this dream, I'm going to die doing what I think is the right thing, which is defending myself and my friends. And so he goes at it as best as he can. And although clumsily in a way, because he lacks the mental skill, yet he's got the physical ability to battle quite well. And so he ends up slaying, let's say, 2 or 3 of these migratory Indians. But he himself, he can't be indispensable. He has to feel some pain here. I think something has to happen. Like he gets clubbed, he gets a rib broken, something gets delivered to him. I don't know. He gets smashed in the shin.
Well, the Indians are probably using arrows. They're probably not just clubs.
I don't know what they're using. That's a good.
I always, in the movies, I always use.
Yeah, we're thinking of like planes.
They did use bows. I remember we're studying.
Okay, so he gets shot. Now I don't think that I don't know if the Vikings use bow and arrow. So like he probably, let's say he deflects a couple arrows, but one of them gets him in his in his foot. No, it needs to be something in his leg. I think it needs to be something.
How about it grazes him so they don't have to like pull it out?
No, I think he needs to like be in some serious pain. I think it needs to be stuck in there, and the arrow gets broken off. Okay. So it gets stuck in there, and we'll have a nice scene a little bit later on where they're trying to dig this arrowhead out, and I think that'll work. So or
maybe it goes through and they cut off the tip and then just pull up the stick.
Okay, we could do that. The arrow like kind of hits him at an angle, and it does go through. And so he's running around with this arrow sticking out his leg for a while.
Yeah, but the only bad thing about it being a leg is that it will get caught on things and he probably won't be able to fight anymore. So maybe it should be his arm.
I think it should be his leg. Either way, he gets stuck with an arrow. I'll accept the whole. I like the thought of the whole gruesome scene of them trying to dig out this arrow and then cauterizing the wound or something like that. But if it goes okay, it'll go in and out and get stuck on the shank of the arrow, so that they have to, snap it in two and then pull it out. So we can do that, and his weapon is a sword, I believe. Yeah. So that happens. He kills a couple of these Indians in the attack, but when and they're actually doing fairly well, but then they see the other Indians from further up the hill. They see them coming down, and so Halfton, realizing that they're woefully outnumbered, like 4-1, he orders the men to retreat and go back. And now,
about him being injured, it could also be he got hit with a tomahawk.
I like the arrow. Let's stick with an arrow for now.
Okay.
So then, how do they get away? I mean, they're running away. Indians can run forever. I mean, let's say they chase them, a couple miles, and then maybe they stop. Maybe they don't. They don't know why they stopped, but they chase them a couple miles. A couple of the Vikings who were slower actually fall prey to them, and so all in all, the Vikings are down, like, let's say 5 men. Okay, so they're down the scout. They're down 4 men. So they had 30. They left 5 at the boat. They had 35. I'm sorry, they left 5 at the boat. So 30 were on this party to go do the rescue. So let's say they're down 5. They're down to 25 people in this party now. They cross a river. Maybe that's where the other Indians stop. So they have to cross a river of some sort, and after they get to the other side, they realize that the other Indians are not following them any longer, and they don't know why they stopped. So let's leave it there for now.
And everybody's assignment is to find out why.
Does it matter why they stopped? I don't think so. I mean, people do things for different reasons.
I think it might matter because they could just get rid of them once and for all, and then not have to be worried about it again.
Yeah, but I don't know if the warring Indians, I mean, are they trying to get rid of them altogether or just keep them in subjection? Because remember, every wintertime they come down and they oppress them, they steal their food, and if they kill them all, then all of a sudden they don't have the food to steal. I mean, if let's say they were raising their own food, or to a degree, or catching the salmon and drying it, then they wouldn't have any dried fish to be able to steal when they came down. So I don't think that they would want to completely destroy the locals, but I think they would want to keep them weeded out and in good subjection.
Or maybe instead, I guess they do oppress them, but that's more like paying tribute, so that way it's a lot easier than fighting it out.
Okay, yeah, paying tribute is fine. Yeah, we can use that. Okay, so let's I say we stop there. I mean, we didn't get too far, but we've got through one of the failures. I guess or we got up to one of the failures, and that's kind of important in a lot of stories. At least I've heard, you need to be able to. You don't want it just to be 100% success. You need to have 1 or 2 failures before you have the climax of the story. And so this could be one of the setbacks.
We also need to decide if Leif Erikson's daughter, Maytek's sister, or Michael's sister, is actually with that tribe.
How do we? In the future or now?
No, there has to be maybe something now that gives them confirmation that she's actually with them, so that they're willing to keep on fighting and figuring out. So they need to somehow, maybe it could be in their next story, scout out around there to see if.
Well, what if they have, we could do something as, we could do, they see one of the warriors is wearing the necklace that, the chief warrior.
A red lock of her hair on the neck or something like that.
because they stole her because they thought that she was a good luck or something like that. I like that. So let's say not all of them, but let's say the lead, like the one of the lead Indians has a necklace with a red lock of hair tied into it.
I mean, it's not Indian, obviously, because
So they don't have red.
I don't think they have red here.
So we could see that, okay, that they are they're on the right trail.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the right track. So that's feasible. We can do that. All righty. It's been a little bit shorter session than most. I think that's great. That way we don't press on too long, but we've got some good material, and we'll keep on going on. And I guess that's all for this week. And hope to see some of you folks back on next week. Try to make it, and if you guys can dial in during one of these sessions, then you guys can help us contribute. We'd really enjoy hearing from you. Hope you have a great time. Thanks.